Hi, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Clay Perspectives. That name might change in the future, but we are a new podcast for Clay County, and we are going to be chatting all things Clay County, left, right, and center. Um, Today, I'm going to be your host. My name is Diana, and here with me, I have Neil and Dylan. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, friends. My name is Neil. Moved down here to Clay County about 7 years ago. Live out in Middleburg, and happy to be here on the inaugural episode. Thank you.
Yep. My name's Dylan. I have been here forever, more or less. So it's a little bit different from the moving into Clay County, but happy to be here as well.
Wonderful. All right. So today we are going to be discussing coping in a red county. For people, whether they've been here forever or people like me who just moved here for 7 months ago from Broward County, for a very blue area, and now we moved into a very red area. And yeah, we're just going to discuss all things. It's going to be very candid, and we're hope to have a really great time in this discussion. All right. So, how would you guys define a red county?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways you could define it. I think based on simple numbers, that's one way to do it. I think that any county in which has a significant percentage of registered Republicans compared to individuals who are not registered with the Republican Party. So for Clay County, for example, if you look at the numbers, it's about 85,000 individuals who are registered as Republicans. I believe the about 35,000 individuals are registered as Democrats, and an additional 30 to 35,000 are not affiliated with any party. So the number of registered Republicans outnumbers the number of individuals combined who are not registered with the Republican Party, either Democrats or non-party affiliates. So
Okay.
they just numerically they have significant advantage over other individuals.
All right.
Yeah, just really succinctly, it's just any county that the Republican Party dominates in. We don't have any representation here in Florida or here in Clay County as Democrats, so I think it definitely counts as a red county here.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. Um, so so we're going to talk about culture shock a little bit. I can start with that, honestly, because it was a culture shock coming into a very red county for me. Um, I felt very small, and I felt like I was kind of going to be looked at a certain way. I felt like maybe I can't wear like the clothes that I was wearing in my heavily blue county. And I did. Originally I did it because I would wear my crop tops and my short shorts and my flip flops, and I'd walk around, and I kind of did feel like I got a little stared at, not in a good way. So it's quite different. Also, my feeling on that is the red counties love their strip malls. Y'all love the strip malls here.
I would concur. Yes, I think once you I think it may have something to do with sort of once you get to a more or a less developed area, the areas of commerce have to be somewhat congregated because the population is diffusely spread. So it's not like you can have a store on every street corner the way you could in a more urbanized environment. You kind of have to zone efficiently. And yeah, so yes, I concur that centers of commerce, like strip malls, for example, I think are more common in rural counties.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But you know what I have noticed though, you have to like not judge a book by its cover here, which in a blue county, you really do like judge the book by its cover, because if it's not cute on the outside, nobody's going on the inside. And here, honestly, nothing's cute on the inside or on the outside, but you have to go into the building and like into the stores and see for yourself, because some of these places, some of these local areas, um, and the local businesses, they are so cute on the inside. Like you would have never guessed. Uh, I'd say like I went when we went into green papaya for the first time. I was not ready for how like well done that little restaurant was. Um, yeah, so that's interesting.
Sometimes substance over style, right?
Substance over style.
Yeah.
I like that. You got anything to chime in there?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like restaurants go, I feel like it's the places that look the dingiest that actually have the best food a lot of the time. But that's just for me coming from here, so maybe it's different down there.
Yeah, it is.
Seconded. Concur, Dylan. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Now, I'd say like for like the everyday differences, how would you go with like I mean, maybe since you lived here your entire life, you really wouldn't exactly know the everyday differences, but you moved here what, 7 years ago, yeah?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, and where did you come from before?
So I'm originally from Ohio. If you've heard of Dayton, Ohio specifically, I was born there. I grew up in the suburbs of that area. Did all my schooling there. Was there for about 21 years. Um, for me, politically speaking, I would say that those where I grew up and where I am now is fairly equivalent. It was a suburban environment where I grew up in, and I'm now in a suburban environment now. So it wasn't a overly politically environment to begin with. I don't even remember even growing up. A lot of people just didn't have lawn signs and bumper stickers, and it just wasn't really a issue. And I think when you kind of live in those type of areas, it's sort of a keep to yourself, do your own thing type of situation. Maybe a lawn sign at most, but in the sort of at a personal level for me, hasn't been really an obvious shift or cultural shock the way that as opposed to what you've experienced. It sounds like for me it's been and I'm not the type of person that wears their politics on their sleeve anyway, so I don't have
Me either.
yeah bumper stickers or lawn signs. I contribute where I can. I do what I can, but I'm not typically someone who broadcasts what they're doing. I don't even have for example, a lot of the large social media accounts. So I'm not out there putting my life out there, in that type of capacity. So
Okay. How do you feel about like seeing yard signs and flags and like the and church centered community life? Like I know that's honestly kind of normal for you
Mhm.
again because you grew up here. But what are your feels on that?
Yeah, well, I have left the county for vacations and things
Oh,
like
you've
that.
left the county for
Yes,
vacations.
I
Well,
have.
oh,
So,
thank God.
but yeah,
Okay.
I've been up north. I've been in other urbanized places in Florida. It is definitely very different. It's um, a lot of places in this county are more rural. You'll see plenty of Confederate flags, all the MAGA signs. Don't tread on me, that kind of thing. It is definitely much more common here, and it can be isolating for sure, which I think we'll get to. Um, but it's just a fact of life here.
Okay, yeah, I have noticed that. There is a significantly more. Well, I wouldn't even say that it's significantly more signs than we had down in Broward County. I lived in Pompano Beach. There was plenty of signs, and there was not as many churches though. That's a new thing for me. There's a church on every corner here, and nothing wrong with that. But that was actually a cultural shock for me because there was always like one church, and then there'll be like another church like 5 miles down the road. No, not here, right? No, there's a church on every corner, and I'm like, I feel like, oh, I almost feel kind of judged a little bit because I'm ethnically Jewish, so that I felt like I was like, where's the temple? Do you all have a temple here? But there is one apparently. Yeah, there is in Mandarin. I'm not
Oh,
joining it though. Okay, perfect. And yeah, feeling isolated though. It is isolating a little bit. Again, like I didn't think that I thought I was going to be the only one here, and I'm happy I found a bunch of people like minded. What's it feel like for you guys?
yeah. So I just want to jump off of where you said about how you just found your crowd, basically. So you know now that you're not alone, and I think that that's really important. It doesn't necessarily have to be, capital P political. You don't have to come to the Democratic Party offices necessarily, but find your tribe, join a club, volunteer, do something, and you can find people that even if you have some disagreements with them, you share your values. You want to do good things in this world. So I think that's important to do.
Okay, well, what about when you were younger here? Like if you were you always leaning left even when you were younger?
So my family is very MAGA. They're all Southern Baptists, Confederate flag waving at times. I would say I kind of started. I'm 22, so 2016 was really the first election that I got plugged into when I was like 12. So I was just watching the news with my granddad, watching Fox News, and so originally I was kind of leaning more libertarian. I was never like right wing per se, but I at the time believed in small government. I liked Rand Paul at the time. I watched John Stossel with my granddad, but what the core of it was, I think people should be able to live freely and do what they want to do. That's where I came from. So that's why, or what kind of started my shift to the left, I'll say.
Okay, cool. And for you?
Yeah, I concur with Dylan. I mean, I have friends who are Republicans. I have friends who voted for Donald Trump. For me, it's okay. I mean, do I think their choices are somewhat misguided? Yes, I do, but they're not bad people.
Right.
Certainly, I mean, they're friendly. They're friendly to me, and certainly especially back in Ohio, these are people I've known for years. So it certainly is there an element within the Republican voter base of antagonism. There is, and I just try to avoid that in my general life. I'm not out there looking to start political conversations with people. I'm not going to
Right.
I'm not going to challenge someone who has a Trump bumper sticker. That's you pick your battles, right? So yeah, but and even and if you look at sort of the political makeup of the country, and this is something I think maybe we could talk about more in depth, as far as the political tools that we're using do not lead to a equal representation of the body politic. So if you look at opinion polls, for example, or if you look at how people think, it's not reflected in the sitting politicians. The electorate and
Right.
the sitting politicians think very differently and act very differently. So when you're sort of just amongst the regular citizenry, I treat others as I would be treated, get along well with people,
Mhm.
treat them with respect and kindness, and then yeah, it's for me it's never really been an issue as far as interacting with Republicans, interacting even with Donald Trump supporters, being a part of their lives, they're being a part of my lives. So
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I haven't had too many like run-ins myself up here. Um, Sometimes they could be aggressive though. Like if there are certain ones that are aggressive about it. We do try to just ignore them. I guess you can't fix stupid.
so there's two ways to fight a fire, right? You fight fire with fire, or you could fight it with water. And so you pick your battle. You kind of pick your weapon of choice. And for me, in general, I find certainly in terms of interpersonal interactions, fire with water is I think the better method.
Fire with water.
Right. So you if
So
there
no spice.
not in that situation. I think there's a time for fire and there's a time for spice, but in terms of if someone is agitated or upset, just in general, it doesn't have to be political. Getting agitated and upset just escalates the situation. So if anyone who's ever worked in customer service, or everyone's ever worked in like retail, or when you have to deal with people, yeah,
It's me. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
yeah. So it's you don't want to escalate the situation. You want every law enforcement officer I've ever spoken to, every single former security officer, anyone who's ever worked in those types of fields, de-escalation, de-escalation, de-escalation. So just speak in a low tone of voice, maintain eye contact, deflect. Those type of strategies I find to be pretty effective.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got anything to chime in with, Dylan?
Yeah, just I agree with what Neil said. I think that if you're coming at someone and you are making it clear to them that you're like the opponent, they're just going to put a wall up. They're going to shut down. They're not going to be receptive to you. But if you can find an in, if you can connect with them like on a real human level, then maybe they won't, change their mind on everything, but they'll start to see you as human, and they're not going to think that you're, we've been called baby killers or various slurs or
No,
men
yeah,
protests or whatever.
that was the baby
Um,
killer.
right.
I don't even know how that even. I don't even know why he said that to me. To be honest, that is another story. Breaking the third wall, or fourth wall. I'm not sure what that, whichever one that is. Um, yeah, when I was just because this guy told me I was a baby killer just because he found out that I was a registered Democrat. I I have never once killed a baby, alive or unalive, like, or fetus, not fetus, not once. Um, so I mean, sometimes they just jump to conclusions, and it's hard to be the bigger person sometimes. I mean, I did just laugh in his face because, like, you don't know me, you don't know my life. Um, yeah. So
I would say that was probably the correct response in that situation. There's, to try to diffuse it with humor. Humor is
right,
another way
yeah, just
to
laugh at them.
yeah, to diffuse. I think I mean, there, like I said, if you were in a debate situation, like a formalized debate, for
Mm,
example, that would be maybe a time to maybe bring a little more fire, because that is, you're trying to argue a point. Then the rhetoric, I think, in certain situations can be a little more forceful. You could be a little more bombastic in those types of situations, or and maybe like a protest situation. There's, like I said, certain situations you maybe want to fight fire with a larger fire. Maybe when you're in a court, and you're, you're fighting like an argue a case. I think there are situations where that type of rhetoric is more appropriate.
okay, I mean, I'm just always spicy, but
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. To each their own. To each their own.
each your own. That's true. All right, now moving right along. The how do you feel about the importance of being visible as a little blue dot in a red county? What are your feelings on that? Like, do you want to, like, do you feel like you want to, like, show who you are a little bit more? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on who you are, first of all, and like what you're willing to do, what your comfort levels are, because, as we've talked about, as we've seen in recent weeks, um, you can get yourself in some real trouble. But that being said, I don't think that we should hide who we are necessarily. Safety, in mind. I'm not really sure how out there you were meaning though. So what are you
I'm sorry, say that again.
like how out there are you thinking? Like what are you imagining?
Oh, I mean, I was just thinking, like, if you some people like to wear, like, their shirts
Mhm.
that, say certain things. I personally wouldn't wear
Mhm.
those. There's nothing wrong with wearing that, but I don't have an issue saying out loud that
Mhm.
I vote Democrat. I mean, even, like, I wasn't always a Democrat though. I was registered independent voter, actually, because my parents both are blue, but they wanted me to register as a Democrat, and I said no. I want to make my own decisions. So I was like, let me go independent first because I don't know where I'm gonna lean. Because a lot of my friends from high school were red. Like, they definitely leaned left. So I mean, leaned right.
Mhm.
Might be. Um, so I had a lot of influence there,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to see where I was going to land. And once I decided to register Democrat, I was pretty open about it. But
Mhm.
again, I was growing up in Broward County,
Right.
which is totally normal to be blue. So,
Yeah.
like, red was the minority. But once I moved up here, though, I felt like at first I kind of was a little scared because I didn't want to get, like, my house egged. I don't know, like, whatever people do. Um, but I do feel like we need to be a little bit more out in the open
Mhm.
in this area for sure. just to be like, hey, we're here. Like there's other people,
Mhm.
right? Because there might be some people, like you said, like your no party affiliates,
Mhm.
that they might be afraid to show face.
Mhm.
But I feel like if you're a little bit more open about that, the ones that are kind of hiding in the corners would be more willing
Yeah,
to come out,
make it normal, make it
to
like
make it
feel like a
normal, just
responsibility
normalize
to
it.
them, right?
Yeah, exactly, just normalize it. You got anything to add to that, Neil?
Yeah, no, I absolutely concur, and it's something that we do here at the Clay County chapter. So, for example, we've done park cleanups.
Mm-hmm.
We've done food drives. If you I think if you couch it again situationally, to try to sort of get your name out there, to get the organization out there, if we couch it in like charity work, we do food drives, those type of things, and you sort of the politics is kind of put aside for a little bit and just function more as kind of like a charitable organization, showing the good work we do in the community, showing how it can be a positive benefit to the community. I think they can sort of allow an in for other people outside the organization to, they come in, they can ask us questions,
Mm-hmm.
get a sense of what we're about, and then the politics can follow after that. So kind of, I think it sort of depends on how you're putting yourself out there. If it's overtly political, and aggressively political, I think that may put some people off, even
Yeah.
people who want to be a part of your organization. But if you go out there as more of a humanitarian, charitable causes,
Mm-hmm.
start with that first, and then politics later. I think you'll find a much more receptive audience, and I think it's just good. I think I'm just in general being a good citizen, but also it's thinking sort of strategically. I think that's the better way to do it.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. All right. Now it for so we're gonna get to like mental health and emotional health. What? How did you feel? Like, were you like Dylan? Really? How did you feel growing up?
I mean, it was extremely isolating. I'm not, I wouldn't exactly call myself a Clinton fan at this point or anything like that, but in I was in middle school at the time, and I uh, voiced my support for Clinton at the time in the 2016 election,
Okay.
and I had people, say all kinds of shit and excuse me, um, and you know, try to rip off signs or push me or do anything like that, just like normal kid stuff, but like kind of bullying. It's extremely isolating, especially as a queer person. I'm sure you guys could touch on this being people of color or ethnically Jewish. It can be a real challenge. Um, I don't really know how I'll say I'll cope. I wasn't a happy teenager, but
You weren't a happy
who is?
teenager?
Yeah, no, but who is?
Oh, that's a good question. Who is? We all had an emo phase,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It wasn't a phase, Mom. How do you feel? Were you? Did
Well,
you?
yeah, I think it can be absolutely isolating. For myself, I think my tack was to be a little more subversive, and in the sense that, for example, even though I think I've most of my since I've been politically sort of aware, I've been a pretty politically progressive person. So voting wise, between the two parties, the Democratic Party, in my eyes, is the more progressive of the two parties. I've always voted in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Except, funny enough, in 2012, I registered. I had to, at the time, Ohio is a semi-closed primary state. So I registered as a Republican to vote for Ron Paul, Representative Ron Paul from
Okay.
Texas, because I liked some of his ideas, specifically on the drug war and the military-industrial complex. And it didn't, it's not in Ohio. It's not especially salient which party you're registered with, because again it's semi-open primaries. So I thought, well, why not, and why not put that vote out there, and then I later re-registered back for the Democratic Party for the 2016 primaries. But what I found was that rather than sort of just being of one political thought process, you can say, well, look, you talk about the small government libertarian sort of element of the Republican Party. I concur with a lot of their views. So that's kind of an in that you have common ground, right? You try to
Mm-hmm.
find a common ground. So let's talk about Ron Paul. Let's talk about the drug war. Let's talk about the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, civil liberties. When you do it that way, I think you'll find a lot of common ground, common allies. So it can kind of you can kind of avoid the feelings of isolationism. Now, if you talk to me about things like, uh, you know, uh, uh, abortion, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender issues, we could talk about that as well. But that's not what I lead with, because if you lead with that, I think depending on who you're talking to, it's more likely you may find some antagonism there. So you kind of
Mm-hmm.
try to find, so where you should kind of see, when if I'm starting the conversation, where's the common ground? We're going to start
Right.
with that first, and start with that, and then we can talk about other issues. And so that way you can kind of, you don't feel as isolated if you know that you at least you share some ideologies with
Mm-hmm.
your fellow citizens.
Okay. So, but you didn't. So, you didn't really like this. Didn't really affect like your mental health when you were younger.
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, I think part of it had to do with, although I was like I said, it was more of a suburban county. It was not a metropolitan county. So in Dayton, the county was Montgomery. So that's the metropolitan county. We were
Okay.
one county adjacent, kind of like
I've
Clay.
never been to Ohio.
Yeah, well, it's similar to Clay Duval, right? Duval is the metropolitan county. It has
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, and then you're one county over. And even where I'm living now, it's a bit more developed, and where I was living in Ohio, it was a bit more developed. It was more of like let's say upper middle class suburban area. So it wasn't like a really rural agrarian area where I think I would have probably encountered a lot more people who didn't feel as I feel.
Okay.
There was a fair amount of ethnic variety at my school. There was a fair amount. I don't know if we actually had a. Oh, I think we did. I think I remember not the year, but there was actually like a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender club
Just
organization.
one.
Just yeah, one club.
One.
But yeah, I mean, it was there. I mean, there were openly gay students and openly bisexual. I don't think. Gosh, I don't think we had any openly trans students that I was aware of. But I mean, they were not intimidated. There was never, that's the best of my knowledge, there was never an incident of someone was like attacked or assaulted. And they were openly gay. They were openly gay, and people knew. So I think that was also part of it, is that where I grew up, it was a little more of kind of a mix politically. So
Okay, that's cool. So my question now, to bring that up, does Clay County have a gay community or like a gayborhood? No. Does Jacksonville have a gayborhood?
So as far as I know, Clay County does not have anything like that. In Jacksonville, they kind of do. It's a little more like unofficial, but I think Murray Hill, the
Murray
whole
Hill.
Jacks Riverside area,
Okay.
that's where they would tend to be.
Okay, cool. Is there any bars or any places that you know in Clay County though? You said you were queer yourself. So any place that you know in Clay County that is
I like
friendly like that?
friendly, yeah. Like there's plenty
Like
of places that you can
flags?
go to that'll have like this is a safe space, a little
I
heart
saw
or whatever.
leaderboard.
Yep, leaderboard. They're an example. But like no like gay bar TM
No,
kind of
no,
things. That's not.
quote unquote.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Again, we came from Broward County. We had Wilton Manors, which is basically like Fort Lauderdale's version of Key West,
okay.
right? Really fun, lots of funsies. I loved going to Wilton Manors when we lived there. Um, okay, yeah, because I was looking for like little like places like that here. When yeah, no, no, not really. Maybe one day. What do you think? Is it moving in the right direction
Yeah,
for that?
I think it's doable for sure. I know that one of our, not a member, but a volunteer, or one of our volunteers, she comes to protest a lot. She's from New York City.
Yeah.
She had a bar, or she was a bartender. She owned her own bar. She was thinking about trying to open up something in Orange Park, maybe like an actual gay bar. So
Oh, do you
it's a
think
possibility. I think there would be a crowd, or not crowd, there would be an audience for it, I'll say, but it
there's
just
an
hasn't
audience?
happened
You
yet.
think that the like the Clay County government system would care about that?
There would be some people talking. and saying some things that we don't like to hear for sure. But I don't think that they would go so far necessarily as to stop us, or maybe they would try, but I don't think that they would be super successful
Not super
because
successful.
it's a private business. So
So I know in Clay County there's a few different cities or towns.
yeah,
Um, where do you think that would be placed? Where do you think that would be? Where in Clay County would be the best? Orange Park?
I feel like that would be most likely. I don't know if you have other opinions, but Orange Park tends to be the most uh, urban part of the county, I would say. Maybe in Fleming, but I don't. I feel like that's a little bit more suburban, so I'm not sure what else it would be other than Orange Park myself.
What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not. Although I support the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community, I'm not directly. I'm not queer, so tough for me to say. I guess Orange Park, Fleming Island, probably would be the most receptive to that type of venue.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not something I've really considered. For what it's worth, if you are interested, in Duval County, Hardwicks is a lesbian,
Hardwicks.
gay, bisexual, transgender.
You know, me and my husband, we went there. We
Oh,
just walked in there.
yeah.
We were doing something in downtown, and we're like, oh gosh, like we just like, wait, was it Hardwicks? Now I'm second guessing myself if that was Hardwicks.
It's
It's
downtown.
it's the one. It's like on the It's like by the overpass.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
correct.
All right, cool. Yeah, it was real cute in there. So for demographic shifts, how do you see the red areas changing recently? Do you think is there like a shift in Clay County since like a couple of years ago even? Clay County, Florida?
Um, it's a good question. I think we're seeing from the news articles that I've been reading and the data that I've been seeing, there's been a couple of shifts. So first, we have seen a increasing in localization, at least I believe for Florida. I know that there was a contingent of Americans during the COVID-19 pandemic who moved into Florida specifically because they preferred the policies that Governor DeSantis was approving at the time, as far as the public health initiatives and how they were managing COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think you did see an influx of, and I think we've seen that in terms of the number of registered Republicans in the state of Florida. There's been a fairly significant swell over the entire state in the number of registered Republicans. It didn't used to be that way. I mean, it used to be the number of registered Republicans to registered Democrats ratio was fairly equilibrium or fairly equivalent. But we now have seen an increase in the number of registered Republicans, and they now hold a numerical advantage over registered Democrats in the state.
Okay.
So that's just for this that's sort of Florida politics. Nationally, what we've been seeing, and this is over the course of several decades, is that there has been historically there was a decrease in the number of registered Republicans. And Dylan, maybe you want to chime in here as far as more recent trends. I haven't really seen it. Have we seen a reversal in that in terms of the Donald Trump presidency or since Donald Trump became politically active?
I mean, I don't think we've seen a reversal in the rightward shift of Florida. Um,
What about Clay County,
Clay County, I know,
Florida?
I don't believe so. I'm not. I don't have that in front of me for Clay County
Well, no,
specifically,
like
but
you're just per like your personal experience. Have you seen it like a demographic shift because of gentrification in
yeah.
downtown?
Well, oh, that for sure, absolutely. Like this county looks radically different from whenever I was a kid. Even it's definitely changing. We're growing very fast. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the state, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
You see
I
all
didn't
this
know that.
construction going on. That's why.
Maybe that was us.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
part
Thank
of
you for
that.
that. Appreciate it. Um, Now, as far as how that's going to impact us politically, maybe we get more suburban educated people in the county that might shift things a little blue. But I really don't think that we should be counting on that. We It's a thing that was said a lot in the Obama years that demographics is destiny. And then every one of those groups that Democrats thought that we could count on has shifted to the right, and I think that that's for all kinds of reasons.
I think
And
Democrats were a little complacent,
yes, absolutely, and they just assumed,
comfortable.
absolutely, they refused to be self-critical. They just acted like, you know, you're in this group, so how dare you not vote for me, or
Right.
that kind of attitude. I don't know how to put it more succinctly, but um, I know that we do well as far as our party goes. We turn out, like, we have very high turnout, but I just want to be wary about just counting on waiting and seeing how things change and expecting that it'll fix itself.
Okay, but it's from the time, like, since a few years ago, the demographic shift in Clay County, Florida,
Mm.
like, it definitely has. I've maybe shifted again. I'm new,
Mm.
so I can only base it on what I've seen in the last 7 months being here. Um, but you said it's grown significantly,
Mhm.
and Jacksonville, I believe, is pretty purple at
Yeah.
least, if not more blue than it is
Mhm.
red. So, do you think that they're moving into Clay County?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many
Are they getting pushed
changes.
out?
Well, that could be one thing because, housing costs, they have to move into cheaper areas. But yeah, Jacksonville it has historically been red for the longest time. But recently, we've seen with Mayor Donna Deegan being elected, she's one of the first Democrats elected in a while, I believe, in Jacksonville.
Oh,
We were
okay,
one of the
and female
last,
too.
yeah, we were one of the last major cities that still was Republican dominated in the country, I believe, or Jacksonville. So that is a change, and we are seeing those effects. Now, whether or not that's going to spill over into Clay, that's we'll see.
Is there gentrification in Clay?
Uh,
I
I,
mean, kind of, sort of. What do you think? Like, you don't think so that much?
well, okay, so I'm not going to say that there's not gentrification. Um, it's just I wouldn't say that it's to the same extent. I will say that there is an issue with the types of developers that we have. If you look at all the houses that are popping up right now, they're all just builder grade boxes that
Mm-hmm.
are 400, $500,000, and
HOA
they're
fees.
crap. Like they fall apart the second you move into them. Um, I'm didn't do my homework, so I don't have all the information for you, but
That's okay.
I think that we can improve there for sure and both stop the greedy not excuse me, stop greedy developers while at the same time um, making clay more affordable and stopping prices from rising.
Okay, got anything to chime in there?
No, I concur with Dylan. I've been here for 7 years, so not a terribly long time. But in speaking with a lot of longtime residents, they concur that certainly, Clay County used to be very, very, very underdeveloped, rural,
Great. Okay.
and within the past 10 to 20 years, it has expanded rapidly, it's developed rapidly, and they're anticipating further development. I think that the 2020 census, the projection from 2020 to 2030 was that Clay County was going to add 100,000 people in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think for several factors that we mentioned first, I think one of the for Duval County, which is one county adjacent, the do you know where people who are immigrating into Duval County? What's the number one spot that they're coming from?
What's the number one
Yeah,
spot they're coming from?
and you
Going to
right.
Duval.
So people who are moving into Duval,
Duval, right?
right, right.
Is that how you say that?
Well, I mean, it depends. Yeah. It depends on where you are. But it's actually Miami-Dade County.
Miami-Dade.
Right. So there's a significant internal migration.
Is it
Yeah.
really?
Probably cost of living. That's one of the
Well,
biggest ones.
yeah. Yes,
Um,
can confirm.
right. So we're seeing an influx of people into Northeast Florida in general. So Duval County, Clay County, Nassau County, St. Johns County, all those counties are expanding rapidly, and then
Hmm.
I'm sure you're going to see, yeah, part of it is sort of a bleed out, people moving from the more urbanized areas, which maybe not be as affordable, into more suburban and rural areas, which are more affordable. So I think we're going to see a subsequent demographic shift with that. Now, into what direction? It's kind of difficult to say. As Dylan noted, you can't really predict the future, and sometimes you look at a demographic or a particular group, you think they're going to vote one way, and then they may or may not. As of right now, if I had to put my crystal ball and try to look in the future, I think we may see an increase in Democratic registration here in Clay County because one of the biggest dividing line right now between Democrats and Republicans is, I believe, educational attainment. Like that is the number one predictor of whether or not, even beyond ethnicity, even beyond, or, like place of birth or what have you, religion, right? Like that educational attainment is the one of the biggest dividing lines. So typically, if you're thinking of people moving into an area, it's probably people who can afford to, right,
Right.
and who have the presumably having advanced degrees and are in a higher earning strata.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the ones that are going to be moving in. So again, presumably, if you're looking at the current political headwinds, those people are much more likely to register the Democratic Party. Now, that being said, as previously stated, there's more than 50,000. The Republican Party here in Cleveland has a 50,000 registration advantage over Democrats.
It's a big.
That's a so
That's a big gap.
Right. So, as far as changing the actual political makeup, I think that, and there's gonna be some other type of factors that come into play. I think it can be done, but I don't think we could simply kind of, well, gosh, if we get people moving in, we'll catch up within the next 5 to 10 years. I don't think that's feasible. But there's some other political tools we could talk about that we could employ. I think that could increase Democratic registration here in Clay County.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Well, we are just about at time. So we're gonna wrap things up. This was a great inaugural episode, I think. What do you guys think?
I concur.
What are your feels on this?
Feels good.
Feels good? Wonderful. How'd I do?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Looking good, feeling good.
All right. So as a closing, we just want to reassure like other people who might be a little afraid of coming out and joining like a group of like-minded people. So yeah, if you're gonna see this, you're gonna like, subscribe, and share and repost and comment, rage comment, do whatever you got to do. We're gonna have a YouTube channel, and we're gonna be posting on all of the socials eventually. And yes, we really hope to get some fresh faces in. And I thank you guys for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. All right. Have a great night.
Thank you.